Every month, like clockwork, $50,000 left my account. No reminders, no hesitation, no acknowledgement, just gone. It covered everything. The estate taxes that kept the house from foreclosure. The mounting debts my father called temporary setbacks. The endless investments my brother swore would turn into something bigger. They never did, but the payments always went through. Because I made sure they did. For 5 years, I didn't miss a single one. Not when business was slow. Not when I had to cut my own expenses. Not when it would have been easier to just stop. Because it was family. And family, according to my father, meant sacrifice. Just not his. The house looked exactly the way it always did. Perfect. Expensive. Maintained. Like nothing was ever at risk. Like nothing was ever falling apart. That illusion was mine. I walked in that evening to the sound of laughter. Not casual laughter. Polished laughter. The kind people use when they're trying to impress each other. The dining room was already full. Guests seated. Crystal glasses reflecting the light. Plates arranged like something out of a magazine. My father stood at the head of the table. Naturally. Because that's where he believed he belonged. My brother sat to his right. Dressed sharp. Confident. Comfortable. The center of attention. Of course he was. He always was. I stepped into the room quietly. No announcement. No greeting. Just present. And for a moment, no one noticed. Then my father looked up. Briefly. Just long enough to register that I was there. Not long enough to care. "You're late," he said. No warmth. No welcome. Just judgment. "I'm here," I replied. Simple enough. I moved toward the table. And that's when it started. Not loudly. Not directly. Subtle. At first. "We were just talking about success," one of the guests said, smiling toward my brother. "Your son seems to be doing exceptionally well." My father's chest lifted slightly. Pride. Visible. Earned. In his mind. "He's just landed a major position," my father said, raising his glass. "Junior vice president." Applause followed. Soft. Controlled. Appropriate. My brother smiled. Adjusted his cufflinks. The same ones I had paid for. "That's just the beginning," he said. Of course it was. Because in his world, everything was just beginning. Even after years of nothing. My father turned slightly. Looked at me again. Longer this time. Evaluating. Comparing. Deciding. And then, "You could learn something from him," he said. The room shifted. Subtly. Because now, it wasn't just conversation. It was direction. I didn't respond. Because I already knew where this was going. "You spend all day pushing papers," he continued. A secretary. A few quiet chuckles. Not loud. But enough. Because now, they were involved. "He builds things," my father added, gesturing toward my brother. Real things. More nods. More approval. Because success is easy to recognize when it's presented well. Even if it's not real. I stood there, still, silent, because reacting would have given him control. And I wasn't interested in that. "You don't belong at this table," he said. Clear. Direct. Final. The words didn't echo. They settled. Heavy. Permanent. "Go eat in the kitchen," he added. "You're embarrassing us." And there it was. The moment. The one everything had been building toward. The guests looked down. Some uncomfortable. Some entertained. My brother leaned back slightly. Smirking. Satisfied. "Don't worry," he said under his breath. "I'll save you some leftovers." That line was meant for me, but it landed for everyone. Because now, there was no pretending. No subtlety. Just truth. Exposed. I looked at my father. Really looked. Not angry. Not hurt. Just clear. Because now, everything made sense. The expectations. The comparisons. The silence. None of it was accidental. It was belief. And belief doesn't change. It reveals. I nodded once. Not in agreement. In completion. and I turned, walked toward the kitchen, not rushed, not embarrassed, just controlled, because this part was necessary. The kitchen was empty, quiet, separate, exactly where he thought I belonged. I didn't touch the plates. Didn't look at the food. Because that wasn't why I was there. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, unlocked it, and opened a single contact. My CFO. The message was already written. Clean, direct, final, cancel the family endowment, terminate all trust payments effective immediately, revoke access to secondary accounts, and terminate the junior vice president contract, effective now. I read it once, not to check, to confirm, then I hit send. No hesitation, no emotion, just decision, because this wasn't revenge, it was correction. I slipped the phone back into my pocket, took a breath, and walked back toward the dining room. Because now, it was time. The dining room hadn't changed. Not yet. Laughter still lingered, glasses still clinked, conversations still floated like nothing had shifted. Because from their perspective, nothing had. That's the thing about power. When it moves quietly, no one notices. Until it's gone. I stepped back into the room. No one stopped me. No one questioned me. Because in their minds, I had already been dismissed. Handled. Removed. Exactly where I belonged. My father didn't even look up. Still mid-conversation. Still playing host. Still performing a version of himself that only existed because I funded it. That's what discipline looks like, he was saying, gesturing toward my brother. Consistency. Vision. Vision. That word almost made me smile. Because the only thing consistent in that room was my money, and the only vision was the illusion I had been maintaining. I didn't sit down. I didn't interrupt. I just stood there, waiting, because timing still mattered. The first phone buzzed at exactly 8:17 p.m. My brother's. He glanced at it casually. Still smiling. Still confident. Because nothing had ever gone wrong for him before. Then, the smile disappeared. Not dramatically. Just enough. He looked at the screen again. Longer this time. Excuse me, he muttered, standing up. Trying to keep it together. Trying to stay composed. But his voice had changed. He stepped away from the table. Answered the call. Turned his back to the room. Like distance could contain something. It couldn't. Wait. What do you mean? His voice cracked slightly. That was the first crack. Small, but real. The second notification came seconds later. My father's phone. A soft beep. Barely noticeable. Unless you were listening for it. He frowned. Picked it up. Looked down. And everything stopped. Not the room. Him. Because now, he was reading. Processing. Understanding. Transaction declined. He read it again. Like the words might change. They didn't. That's not possible, he said under his breath. But it was. Completely. The third interruption came louder. One of the guests. I'm sorry, he said, checking his phone. There seems to be an issue with the account transfer you mentioned earlier. And just like that, the illusion started collapsing. Not all at once, but enough. Because when one thing breaks, people notice. When multiple things break, they panic. My brother walked back toward the table. Not confidently this time. Not controlled. His face had changed. What's wrong? My father asked. Still trying to maintain composure. Still trying to stay in control. I just got a call from HR, my brother said. A pause. Because saying it made it real. They said my position has been terminated. Silence. Heavy. Immediate. Because now, everyone was paying attention. That's ridiculous, my father snapped. There must be a mistake. There it was again. That word. Mistake. Like everything could be explained away. Fixed. Reversed. It's not a mistake, I said. And for the first time, the room turned toward me. Fully. Completely. Because now, I was part of it. My father looked at me. Really looked. Not dismissive this time. Not superior. Just confused. What did you say? He asked. I said it's not a mistake, I repeated. Calm, flat, certain. Another pause. Because now, something was shifting. You don't understand how these things work, he said quickly. But his voice had already changed. Less confident, less certain. I do, I replied. And I stepped forward, slowly, deliberately, because now, I wasn't being removed. I was taking control. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my black titanium card, and placed it on the table, right in front of him. The sound it made, sharp, clean, final. This table, I said quietly, only exists because I allow it to. Silence. Because now, they were listening, really listening. The house, I continued, the accounts, the investments. A pause. Because timing still mattered. All of it runs through me. My brother shook his head. No, that's not. It is, I said. And that was enough. Because truth doesn't need volume. My father stared at the card. Then at me. Then back at the card again. Processing. Recalculating. Realizing. You're just he started. Secretary? I finished. A slight pause. Because now, he remembered. Every word. Yes, I said softly. I am. Another pause. Because now, the meaning had changed. I just happen to own the firm your son works for. That was it. The moment. The exact second everything broke. No, my brother whispered. Not loud enough for anyone else. But I heard it. Because I was supposed to. I built it years ago, I continued. Quietly. Intentionally. Another pause. Because now, they couldn't interrupt. Couldn't deny. Couldn't escape. And I funded this family the same way. Silence. Final. My father stood up slowly. Like standing might give him control again. It didn't. You're lying, he said. But his voice didn't carry weight anymore. Because belief had already cracked. Am I? I replied. And I looked around the room. At the guests. At the faces that had laughed. At the people who had agreed. You can check, I added. And that was enough. Because now, they knew. I paid $50,000 every month to keep this place from collapsing, I said. A pause. Because now, the number mattered. And you told me to eat in the kitchen. Silence. Because now, they remembered. Everything. My father's hands trembled slightly. Not visible to everyone, but visible to me. Fix this, he said. Not commanding. Not confident. Just desperate. That was new. No, I replied. One word. Enough. Because this wasn't temporary. It wasn't a warning. It was a decision. I turned slightly, preparing to leave, but I stopped. Just for a second. Because the ending matters. The endowment is gone, I said. Another pause. Because now, they needed to hear it. The accounts are frozen. Another. Your son's job no longer exists. And finally, this house is under my company. Silence. Total. Because now, there was nothing left. My brother stepped forward. Sarah, please. That word. Please. Too late. No, I said. And I smiled. Not wide. Not emotional. Just enough. Find a table you can actually afford to sit at. I walked out. Not rushed. Not angry. Just finished. And this time, I didn't leave anything behind.